What I wanted to show you today was the typical derailleur tube, and these are the different bung sizes that I make because of the different tube diameters and wall thicknesses. This is how they go in, and there will be some sort of an attachment on the top of this that when it's tightened, the rubber band will, or rubber bung will compress and expand and lock into the tube. It has a 1/4-20 insert sealed here at the bottom. So that's what a typical bung looks like. Now, what I've recently started doing was producing these little rubber bushings that will fit onto a flagpole where you can attach a light to it. This will be a 7/8 of an inch outside diameter, 1/4 inch inside diameter. And I'm going to show you how I make these things. And then after I make a few of these, I'll show you what I do with them afterwards. I make this little contraption that fits onto a flagpole and sandwiches that flagpole onto the light bar. So this just keeps the flagpole from moving up and down in the light bar. So I'll show you how I make these. And it's really, I really want you to see the process more than actually what I'm making. And we're going to start with a rubber stopper. In this case, it's the number 5 because of this 7/8 diameter. I use a number 6 on the bung sizes and can, of course, go larger than that. So let's go over to the sander, and I'll show you how this little jig here works. In essence, we're going to take and put our little mandrel through here, and we're going to put our rubber plug on that and then turn it on a sander. And in order to get the proper size, I've got this already adjusted with these little screws to produce the 7/8 diameter, and that's what we're doing today. We're going to finish up a few more. I've probably got 50 of them or so here. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take you over to the sander, and I'm going to show you how this is made, because if you have to make something that's pretty much an exacting size out of a rubber or a product or even wood, this will be like a little lathe, if you will, set up on a disc sander. So let's go over there and I'll show you how this works. Now, before I get cranking on this and have the dust collection system cranked up, because you're not going to be able to hear me dub over the noise, I want you to see how this works. I've got the screws here that actually are going to control how far this will move in toward the disc sander. And I've already got it set up for what we're doing, so I'm not going to be adjusting that, but I think that's pretty simple. Just a couple of stops here, in this case some screws, that bump up against the end of the table here. So that's pretty much it. Now, when this is going around, this will be, of course, going around, and I'll have this this rubber plug in there, and you'll notice that I'm going to be sanding not only on the outside diameter, but I've got a piece of sandpaper sandwiched in here, actually not sandwiched, but double-sided taped inside here on both sides. So what I'm going to be doing is, when this is in there and sanding, I'm going to be bumping up against both of these ends and actually clean up both ends of the plug. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to crank up some noise. You'll see me, I'll back this off. We'll take our mandrel here, which is on a drill, and I'll be inserting that. I'm actually going to reverse the drill to where it'll be rotating the plug into the rotating sanding disc. So you'll see this, but all you're going to hear is a bunch of noise. So let's try it. I'm back over here at the table, and I have not blown these off with an air compressor, but I'll do that as we speak. And I'll show you how I check the size. Now, I'm pretty certain we're going to end up with a close enough size. Again, we were shooting for the 7/8 of an inch. And let me zoom in here so you can see what... I don't know if you can read that or not. How about that? 7/8. The die will be on 875 if that's a perfect size. I suspect these might be paper thin 4/1000ths or so, or maybe 5 above that size. So I can just set this bushing on top of the indicator and just open it up until this reaches, there's 8, 10, 20, 30. I remember I want 875, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 5, okay, 76 thousandths. And I'll check a few of them periodically. This is the first time I've checked these today, as a matter of fact. I ran all those others yesterday. So you can begin to see, in fact, there's a little bit of a taper in there, which is not going to bother anything. Not that much taper. That was a little undersized, like 10 thousandths. And the last one here we are, 40, 50, 60, 70, 5, 78. 878. So we're 3 thousandths over diameter. A piece of normal paper is like only 4 thousandths thick. So you can see we're real close. Now we're going to take one of these. Let's take this one right here, and we're going to put it on this little mandrel. It's like that. This one is exactly the same size as that one. So now then, when I lay it on my drill press, I'm actually going to carve that out like that. And you'll see that process. Let's set up over here on the drill press for that. Now, these are not exactly show pieces of wood. They're just scraps of, that's not obvious to you. They have some double-sided tape on them to keep them stationary. And I've got a little disc here with sanding sleeve on it. And it's about the same size as this 7/8. And the reason I have two of these on this mandrel is so that this second one will actually just control the tilt. I'm going to eyeball this in the middle, although it kind of wants to stay there on its own. And I'm just going to walk this into that sander. And I don't know if you can see this little tick mark I have here. When the end of this bushing gets to that mark, I should be pretty close to being done. So here we go. Probably going to be good enough. I'll dress this up to give it a little bit of a rounded feature in here. But this is ready for the next operation, which is chamfering this edge here. In fact, let me go ahead and trim that up a little bit for you. As you can see, I've been using this block of wood for like a trim board. Actually, this operation here really is not, I wouldn't say this, it's really that necessary. I just like to see things nice and clean like that. And that's pretty clean. Hold on a minute. Yeah, we're over here at the sander. We did one just a moment ago, and it looked like that. We'll do another one. Again, I'm just going to load this on the end of this dowel rod mandrel. There's no, I mean, this could be reversed. There's no top or bottom. If there was a flaw in the rubber, I might try to sand it out, but this happens to be there's a little area that, I don't know if you can see that shiny. It didn't quite clean up. It was on the bottom of that tapered plug stopper. So we'll take that out. I'm going to turn it up and it'll be sanded out. Again, this is level here because these are the same size diameter, and this is, I've got this tight enough. Tape came loose a while ago. I've got this tight enough to where it's going to guide straight in there, and once it starts cutting that scallop out of there, it'll kind of stay by its guide by itself. So here we go. Again, you remember there was a mark over here. Right here. And I really don't want the rubber to overheat, so I give it a little bit of air occasionally. And because the sanding disc is going in this direction, it will kick this up here a little bit on this side. You can see it's real thin. So I'm going to reverse it, and when I feed it in, the diameters here will marry up to one another, and I'll just gingerly put a little bit of pressure on it to clean up this edge here. So you can see that's really a good that's a good scallop in there. I think this is where we kind of stopped on the other one. I'll clean this up just a little bit. It's probably good enough. That's good enough. We're going to take these. I'll take both of these now. Take this off of here. We'll take both of these and we'll go back over to the disc sander and we'll put a little bevel on this edge here by putting this back on the mandrel and just turning it on the sander and rotating it until we've got a bevel on this edge. Let's go do it. So if you're asking yourself, what is this used for? It can be put on a flagpole. It can be put on any of these rods that are 1/4 of an inch. even the front down rods. It can be put on a flagpole. You can mount a light to it. Now, if you're wondering what these pieces are for, they are meant to go on the flagpole, like such. And then they mount in this hole. They could mount anywhere, really, but because it has a scallop in it, the scallop was really intended to contour around this light bar, so that when this is sandwiched on there, like that, this is how you remove the flag on a V-block. And then all you have to do is just tighten up your thumb screw here, and this will keep your flag oriented, because it's not going to be wanting to rotate because of this locking into that light bar. And you can attach a light to this rubber sleeve here, which again can go on the front down rods or even on the rear rods, or up high on the, it could go down the end of the flagpole. So that's what all those pieces are for. Kind of give me an idea of what's going on here. After I finished making these bushings the other day, I went ahead and drilled a couple of holes, and I think I did maybe 10 pair, 20 of these pieces with a double hole in it. And what that can be used for is to secure the bottom of the flag. And you can see this sleeve will slide up and down the pole, so you can really put some tension on the bottom of the flag, and just put a little lace through it to keep the flag from flying off as you ride around. So I'll be making these available with or without holes. You can still clamp a light onto this, or another accessory if you wish. Anyway, thought you might like to see that.